Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Claude Sharadi, and welcome to this eighth edition of African Knowledge. African Knowledge, we talk about African issues, but it's more about sharing knowledge, experience, insight, wisdom, and even just empowering stories with the rest of the community because information, knowledge, education can empower people. On this edition, we'll be talking more about life in regional um, Victoria or simply life in regional Australia, because there are many African Australians who are living in regional cities and towns. And quite often, in our media, in our multicultural media, we don't necessarily talk too much about them. And that's something that we'd like to be able to change because obviously they are part of the community. They have challenges that may be their own, but we have similar issues. We would like to be able to find out what is it like to live in regional Australia, regional Victoria, regional New South Wales, or any other place that you might be. So, to talk about this, I have with me Christian Bashimbe, who is an emerging youth leader in Albury Wodonga, which is a town city, I mean, a border town between New South Wales and Victoria. Christian, how are you tonight?
Thank you very much, Clyde. Thank you for having me on your screen today. I'm so happy with that. Yeah.
All right, that's good. How are you going in Albury Wodonga?
So at the moment, there's quite a bit of silence because of the lockdown, and so people are not allowed to leave the house. They should have some of the reasons which push them to leave the house. So everyone is at the moment staying at home. So there's no much to do in regional Victoria at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, that's the situation for all of us, whether you are in metropolitan Victoria or Sydney or New South Wales, rather, you are in a lockdown, and that is the situation. So it's quite tough, especially for young people like yourselves. I suppose you are sort of pinned down, and you can't go anywhere. How have you been coping on a personal level?
So for sure, with this lockdown again, most of the people in the community, those who can work from home, they have to contribute their normal job. But for myself here, because I'm now working from home, so I don't have to leave house, and I'm living with my wife at the moment. So yeah, so I have something on, so which is good. But it's quite difficult for some of the young people who usually, are part of the soccer team player or things like that. So yeah, it's really challenging situations where people feel like they are locked in house, they can't do anything, So that's the current situation at the moment in Albury Wodonga. Yeah.
Okay. I suppose then with the lockdown comes a lot of challenges, not just in terms of obviously they have challenges that people have, but you probably touched on a little bit when you spoke about young people playing soccer. That's part of socialization, and you have a whole other host of a whole host of issues, including, I suppose, economical issues. If you're not working, perhaps you may not necessarily get income and all of that. That is that a big issue, or people are sort of used to that already?
So that is a part of the issue at the moment. I can confirm that it's part of the issue because there are some of the people who are due to this lockdown, so they have to stop with their daily to daily job, and they, while most of them rely on the job they have, so it's kind of losing some of their income, source of incomes, and this may have a bit of issue when it comes to pay their rent, or other basic utilities. So yeah, I'm sure that with this lockdown, most of the people, some of them are struggling. For those who can work from home, so yeah, it's really a challenging time. Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit about yourself. I suppose that's where I should have started, and I went too much into the issues. But I suppose people want to know a little bit about yourself. You're a young person who came to Australia a few years ago. Tell us a bit more about your own story, so we know more about yourself.
So it's now 4 years ago since I came to Australia, and it's a similar pathway, similar challenge, similar issues that most of the people from the refugee or migrant background would normally face when they come into a new country, So you have to look for your own path. You have to adjust your long-term goal, and you have to think about what am I gonna do next. So I've been into this same situation with other young people, when I came to Australia, But with the little effort that I put together, I've been able to, start with my study, doing my diploma in community services, and being able to secure a job, and also having these long-term goals of continuing with university. So it's a really similar job. So part of my story, I would say that I've done a little bit in my community, like in terms of being part of some of youth networking program in Victoria, where we have to discuss about some of the issues that young people from the migrant and refugee background face when they come here. So, and among these are, looking for those educational pathway, long-term goals, finding a job somewhere, So these are the biggest one, I was forgetting that even the system barrier, because the system is very different from where people used to live before. So when they come here, they have to learn a bit about the system, also the language barrier, because when it came, so you could imagine our with the language, starting with English, So it's a similar situations, but I would say that I'm a bit of proud of what I've done when I came to Australia in terms of giving back and contributing to the multicultural community, especially in Victoria, So I feel proud of that, being able to share my point of view and my ideas and on how we can tackle these issues that affect the most young people.
Yeah, and I know you have been quite active in the community, and I think you've even received some awards from the Victorian Multicultural Community Awards, something of that type. What has been sort of motivating you to engage in community life? Obviously, there are a lot of challenges that you face when you come into Australia. You've only been in Australia for about 4 years and a bit, but quite quickly you got into community life, and even though you had your own challenges about education and funding pathways and all that, so what led you to give yourself into community things?
So for sure, in our African community, we need some of the young people to stand up, and try to address these issues, because if we are not doing this, no one will do it for us. So we need to address this issue that most of the young people are facing. When we came here, we faced these issues, and when we realized that there was some opportunity to address these issues, so this was something that, because I'm more motivated about something that we change the community. We want to see the community changing in the positive way, and that we should stand up and address these issues. So, and that time I feel like, so I have to do something, and that's when I decided to join the Victoria Youth Networking, so where I volunteer for 2 years. And basically it was like, all the young people from Victoria, from the migrant background. So we'll come together once a month and discuss about some of the issues the young people are facing in Australia. So, and this was an amazing opportunity for myself to learn about different issues in different areas in Victoria. Also, being able to learn from other people who've been here for a long time and who have a lot of passion about changing our community, and work on those issues that affect the most people in the community. Yeah.
Absolutely. And give me a bit of an idea of how many African Australians would be in Wodonga. You can mix Albury as well, because it's kind of one town really. But what sort of population number we have there?
So I would say that the community is progressively growing up. So now we might reach a number of 500 to 600 people living in Wodonga, and this is a quite good number of young people, young adults, and few number of elderly people as well. So I would say that the community is really growing up in regional Victoria and even New South Wales. And when I'm saying this, I'm focusing more on both Aubrey and Wodonga. Yeah.
Okay. And I understand. Obviously, you are from the Congolese community, but what sort of numbers and what other type of African nationality do we have in Wodonga apart from Congolese?
Yeah, apart from Congolese here in Wodonga, we've got a few number of Nigerian people living here. We've got Sudanese and also a few numbers of Ethiopian people living down here. So yeah, at the moment, there's not that huge number in terms of people from different countries, but in the future, we hope that it's going to be more people coming to regional Victoria. So, and for that, we have to do something to prepare, the place for them. So yeah.
Okay. And what sort of who are the majority? Is there like more South Sudanese or more Ethiopians, more Congolese? Do you have any statistics or can you tell any numbers? Who are the majority?
At the moment, I would say that the majority of people living in both Wodonga and Aubrey are Congolese. So that's there's quite a good number of Congolese compared to other nationalities. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. All right. Now, COVID obviously is bringing a lot of issues. Is there anything specific that either the government or any stakeholders has put in place for multicultural communities and specifically African Australian communities in that area?
So there's quite good initiative from the community at the moment. So I would say that is now a good change in terms of understandings how COVID can, impact into our lives, And down here, we've got some of the services that have been working hard to, getting this message across the community about COVID and also how they could access, the vaccine. So, and this is since this type of activity started in the community, there have been quite a good change. And we have been observing people from the member of the community, going forward and take their vaccine, so which is good. So yeah, except from the instruction sometimes, which is making a bit life harder. So, but now people have started building those understandings around COVID and how they can, how they can live with COVID because COVID is still around. Yeah.
And do you have any multicultural media platform in Aubrey Wodonga? Any radio and anything like that?
No, I think these are some of the gaps that we still have down here, but I hope this would be some of the project that I would even advise or encourage other people from the community to stand up and take the wheel on this type of projects because we really need this type of media because media can be a good tool to to allow the community to come together and and to exchange their ideas, and also just try to inform them, because also information is something that our community really needs, and we are quite aware about the challenge language barrier, so we need those media that can feed those gaps and be able to create something that will allow the community to try to look far from where they are seeing themselves at the moment. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's why we're looking here at African Media Australia to have an African Media Aubrey Wodonga sort of platform where you can start talking about issues relating to African Australian communities. Now, in terms of the communication, then, for example, about COVID and all that is around it, do you guys get like any pamphlet or anything that is translated in the language of that people speak in the community? Is there anything specific that is being done in that area?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Apart from what the government provided, because there's many sites where people can access the information in language, but here, as I mentioned before, there's some of the services that are really doing an amazing work by providing those translated, messaging, which allow people to get the right informations, and by using some of the channel that's the community are used to. So, and I would say really, and also having these info sessions. So where people in the community can attend, and get a chance to hear more and ask questions about COVID. So this have been going on for quite for a long time now in
Okay.
both Wodonga and Aubrey. Yeah.
So there are information sessions organized by the government or by the community?
I mean, there are some of the information that are organized by the community, member of the community, and also some of the service provider around here, the multicultural service provider, they also, organize this and gets some community leaders to be part of this. And so they work in a way that they all come together and collaborate and do something. So which is good, yeah.
Okay. And in terms of youth programs, because you are a youth leader and you've been involved in quite a lot of youth activities there, can you tell us about some of the programs that specifically target youth people, other those that have been initiated by government or any stakeholders that you guys work with locally, or anything that the community itself, the African Australian community, has initiated?
Yeah, I still remember when I came here. That was in 2017. So that was the first time I heard about a leadership program. So which also give an opportunity for young people to access that leadership trainings. But we don't really have much program for young people here, and we have been trying to address these issues in the event. So as I mean before, being part of the Victoria Multicultural Youth Programs, which I had to travel to Melbourne once a month to meet with other young people to discuss issues about Victoria. So imagine if we would have a similar kind of program down here, so we don't have to travel. Young people can have this same similar networking opportunity where they can come together here without going in Melbourne or somewhere. So these are kind of the gap that we still are addressing, and I hope that with the multicultural community organizations that are down here, they be one day able to to have something in permanence, permanent program that will allow young people to start playing this role in the community.
Absolutely. It would be good to have local programs rather than you having, for example, to travel all the way to Melbourne, which is about 3 hours and a half, isn't it?
Yeah, that 3 hours enough. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a long way. And community-wise, is there any sort of platform to bring African Australian communities locally together and have discussions or do things together? Is there anything like that?
So yeah, I'm sure they use to be, and they still some of the community platform here. That's from that I would say from the Congress community. There's still it's working. There's some community leaders who are there and they are doing a good job in trying to bring the community together and work together and see how they can address these issues. But we still need a bit of pushing up for in terms of providing more trainings, this platform. So because the way that they are operating is still informal, so we need to be formal, where they may have these trainings, leadership trainings, all these things to enable, to allow them to take the full control of the community, and also they do play a major role in everything, because when the people are coming down here, they are welcomed by decent people, and they are the ones who guide the newly arrived people, and so which means once these are well organized with the support from the government or from the local organizations. So this will be a really good, things in the community that we can push for change, because people will then, play a role where they can give a hands to other members of the community, through the established networking from the community. So we truly believe in this, and with the way that the community leaders are going with the community, we expect that maybe in the future it's going to be this change, and yeah.
And in terms of jobs, what sort of jobs do people get there in Wodonga? Is it more in the sort of farm sector, agriculture, or is there factories or health? Tell us about what sort of jobs do people from the African soil and background tend to get in the area?
So there is, in terms of job, there's not that much many job opportunity around here. As you just mentioned, there's like some of we will go with the factory jobs, or some of the farmers, like fruit pickings, and also, but we see have people in the community who are playing, who are working with as a nurse in the community. And also we've got also some of the African people who are like doctors, who guys doctor here down here. So far I would say that in terms of job, young people here are very active. So in terms of jobs, so they really so they're into that. So I will really confirm that.
And is there a high unemployment rate for young people, or do most young people that manage to get employment?
So for those who are able to manage to get a job, so they make access this opportunity. And for some who are not getting into there, so they will consider moving from here to Melbourne or to somewhere else, because there's still some gap in terms of employment as well. So and it's not only in terms of employment, but also in terms of educational pathway, because here we've only go to university here around. This is La Trobe University and also Charles University. So for other young people who have these long-term goals, education goals, they will consider moving to Melbourne or somewhere different in order to get to a university where they will get their needs, answer to their needs. So yeah.
Okay. But let me actually quickly just repeat the question in terms of let's say out of 10 young people that how many do manage to get employment, even on a part-time basis? I just want to have an idea of the level of young people, youth unemployment, whether it's very high over there, or is it just like in Melbourne, it is estimated approximately to be about 20%. Officially, unemployment rate is only about 5-6%, but youth unemployment has always been a lot more, a lot higher than that. What is the situation in Aubrey Wodonga?
Yeah, down here, so with most of the young people that I know in the community, so most of them are employed. They're doing something, so which is an amazing thing. And some of them they might be combining both, studying and working at the same times, and which is still good at the moment, because they're getting the knowledge and also building their professional networking at the same time. So far here, I would say most of the young people have got something to do.
That's good. Now in Melbourne, we know that there's, from time to time, you get these issues about young people doing some silly things around the place. Some of them involved in criminal activities or antisocial activities. Is there anything of the type that is happening in Wodonga, or that has happened?
No, not really. So we don't have similar things happening.
Everybody's civilized over there. Just kind of kidding. That's good, because obviously, if we know that, for example, when it comes to youth antisocial behaviors, many places in Australia have been fine. It's only sort of in Melbourne that we've seen so many of these young people stories about crime and all that sort of thing, even though it's a little tiny minority. But obviously when it's in the media, it's amplified, and some people get a sense that it's actually a lot more than what it is. So it's good to know that in regional towns and regional areas, they don't have the same problem. And in terms of let's say, do you guys have some of the celebrations like festivals or anything in cultural focus that is in Melbourne? We have like the African Music Festival, or quite a few things that bring people together on a cultural level. Do you have any such thing in Aubrey Wodonga?
So I'll say that we have, but it's not that often. Like in Melbourne, where you may see different activity happening in the same months, but here it's just because I remember the last time we have our big African, Afrobeat festival here. So it was in 2020. 18. So since then we haven't had any other again. So, but they see those small kind of multicultural events that would happen sometimes, and
Mhm.
people did show up sometimes, and but and the community is small here too. So and people with life commitment, and so it's not that easy to get everyone, but
Yeah.
with where we are heading at the moment, with the community growing up, so we expect that it's going to be a more program, because and people who are currently living here, they can initiate those things, so that's when we're going to have newly arrived people. They may just found some of the program that would be beneficial to them here.
Okay. And what about shops? I mean, where do you guys get your food? Is there any African food there, or do you just manage maybe to get some Asian or Chinese food that is as close as possible to Africans? How do you resolve that sort of problem?
So yeah, that is actually good questions. Down here we've got an African shop.
Okay.
But yeah, we've got African shop here, so which mostly people may access. But the issue is like, because the shop is located in Wodonga, and we of course some of the members of the community living in Aubrey. So and during this like COVID, it is hard for people to most of the people, because those who rely on other people who might drive them, give them a lift to get to the shop. But we still need more. Some of the people, they will usually travel to Melbourne to get more African food, and because here we've got the quantity and maybe all the items that they might be looking for, are available here. So that's when
Yeah.
they would travel to Melbourne, so where they can access more African food.
Wow. So people have to travel like 3 hours and so to
Mhm.
get the right food. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, that's very important. And in terms of entrepreneurship, you mentioned a few. You said that there's maybe a few shops there. Are there any other small businesses that Africans are running from any field or any nationality?
There's I said there's not really. So the only one shop we have here is the African shop. But we've got people in the community. We've got beautiful ideas, and we hope that they'll be able to achieve those ideas in the future. So we've got some people who have started with some of the small business here,
Hmm.
and those who are having the ideas, and they are kind of supported by some of the organizations down here
Mm.
to some of the grants, so that they may, launch their activity. And we expect that with those type of supports, we'll be able to get more people with smaller business operating down in Wodonga.
Okay, we're getting close to the end of the show. I just want to, I suppose, get you to think of a message that you want to give. Number one, to the government as a young leader in the area in Wodonga, um, based on what you know and what you have seen, what are some of the gaps that you would like the government to cover to allow the community out there to thrive in the context of the social, economic, and cultural sort of perspective that I mean, of the area? That's one. And then later, I will also want you to maybe give a message to the community, the African Australian community in Wodonga, and what you think also there may be some gap, because the community should also be active and be able to liaise and communicate with the governments on in terms of addressing whatever issues that may apply for the community there. So let's start with the government. What are some of the gaps and some of the things you would like the government to attend to if you were asked to give advice to the government?
So for the governments, my concern is to, I know there's quite a lot of program in the city comparing to the regional. So I
Hmm.
would just, encourage the government to, uh, uh, give people a lot of resources, so that they may, extend their program not only in the city, but they can extend those programs to the regional, where there's other people in the community, because we down here, and we want those programs to come down here. So, and the government, they may, contribute, or play a major role into these things,
Hmm.
by, suggesting, or, by motivating those programs to extend, and reach to the regional area. And also, I would just let the government know that the settlement process in the region areas are more successful comparing to the new city. Because with newly arrived people coming directly into the city, this can be part of even a culture shock. But coming down here to regional, where they get enough time to get an idea about the systems, and also get a bit of time to work on their long-term goals, work on their pathways, and maybe later on in the future they may decide to move to a big city, but they might move there with the reason or of getting any work, things like that. So, but yeah, we want the government to know that we down here, and we want the same program that are in the city to come to the regional, because we also want to attract people to be more interested about regional. People here are doing amazing things, in the community. So we want government to consider those things, even there's quite a number of challenges. So. And for the African community, I know with life commitment, with everything we have, our job, families, because most of the people in the community, those who are playing the role as the leaders, they've got life commitment, they've got families, they've got work to do. So by having those, it's good to have those things, but we can also try to dedicate, to consider, have sometimes where we have to work on those issues that are affecting our community, and see how we can address those issues, and bring new ideas, new ways that we can tackle these issues on, because with young people here, they need those supports from those who have been here for quite a long time. So they need someone who may take them a hand, provide that guidance in order to make the right step. And it's only us who have been here who can help those young people. So, and we've got young people, we've got elderly people as well. We need to have those kind of community projects that address all the issues comparing to the range age of our community, from all the children. So we need to understand what is the gap that we have to address with our children. So for the young people, we need to tackle these issues. We need to have time to sit on the table and have these conversations, and because we're creating this kind of environment, that's where everyone may come and collect something from that, learning from everyone's experience, because those who have been here, they can play a major role in helping others to understand better the system, or and they can share their experience, how they've been able to secure a job, or how they've done this and that. And this is how we can change our community, and also being able to represent ourselves in most of the program, most of the initiative that's involve our communities. Because once we are present, then we can get our voice out. So this is the message that I want to get out for our community leaders, and also just to consider moving from informal to formal with having this right stretch of the community, and and from there we might be able to change the community, and and make the community more welcoming, and more so yeah, in that way. Yeah,
absolutely. And perhaps maybe another message for young people, because you are in that space, youth leadership. You're yourself a young person who's been doing quite well, both in terms of your education and employment now, and you're setting up a family. What sort of message you have for other young people who may want to follow suit?
Yeah, for the young people, I do believe that everyone were born with a purpose, and they need to establish, work on their goals as soon as they arrive here. So they need to prioritize their visions, and they need to have it in a clear way, so they know where they're heading. And also having a vision is not a conclusion, is not at the end. So they need also to seek for mentorship for those people who can help them, to mentor them, so that they can get to their visions. And this, I know there's quite a big challenge in terms of education, because when the young people they come here, they might have a vision back home, but when they reach here, they need to adjust their visions. They need to understand the system, what is available, and what they can do. So from this, they need to seek more advice for those and seek more support from the service available here in order to prioritize their visions and be able to achieve their visions. I know because the difference with the young people and those are not young. The young people have got long-term goal, where they focus on going to university. They are focused on taking a huge risk, like in terms of trying something new in their life. So they need to have some time from themselves to work on their long-term goals, and they need to have it in a clear way so they know where they're heading. And also, while they're doing that, they can also contribute to the community, because when focusing on their goals, they still have to build that rapport with the community, with other young people. And also from there, they'll be able to learn and to apply their knowledge, because once they're getting this knowledge, they need to apply somewhere. And the community is there where they can apply this, this knowledge. And also, one more thing is that I would recommend to young people to always take the opportunity to be part of the youth networking stuff that help other youth to share their common issues and address them. So this is something that I would really encourage all the young people, especially in regional here, to work on their long-term goals and their visions.
All right, Christian Bashimbe, thank you very much for your time to African Knowledge. We appreciate you coming onto the show and talking to us about your experience and the experience of the African Australian community in the city of Wodonga, Aubrey Wodonga, a border town between New South Wales and Victoria. We would like to be able to have a frequent conversation because we want to make sure that the voices of regional Victoria, when it comes to the African Australian community, are represented. A lot of times, we don't, at least from Melbourne here, we don't get to hear much about what's happening in regional areas, and it's important that we do provide that facility to enable people like yourselves and many others to be able to share their experience and enlighten many of us who may not necessarily know. I know there are a lot of people in Melbourne, for example, who are thinking of moving to country Victoria because the government is providing quite a lot of incentives to get people to move to country Victoria. And that is something actually quite interesting. And people are thinking of it. So maybe we should start really talking more about this sort of thing so people know a little bit more about life in country Victoria or country Australia, because African Media Australia is obviously for all Africans in Australia, even though we are based in Melbourne, Victoria. Until next time, Christian, we say thank you very much, and we'll hope to see you sometime soon to talk more about things happening in Wodonga.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me today, Clyde. So I'm really happy with sharing my ideas with you. So, and I hope that next time maybe it would be also a chance for another young people or someone else in the community to be able to share, their perspective about our community. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you. And for all of you who've been watching, we encourage you to share the videos, to comment, to subscribe on our YouTube channel. And also, if you know something, if you have a story, if you have some sort of expertise or experience that can add value to the lives of other African Australians, we would encourage you to contact us so that we can have a conversation with you. African Knowledge is for you if you want to share what you know with the rest of the community. So until next time, tick that button and share and subscribe. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.